If you interviewed 500 of the richest people on Earth and wrote down the secrets that made them successful, you'd end up with this book, Think and Grow Rich. Written in 1937 by Napoleon Hill, it remains to this day one of the most influential books for building wealth. Hell, I've read it multiple times. It's like a blueprint for turning wild ideas into reality, much like how I've approached Tesla or SpaceX. In this script, I'll dive into a detailed summary of all the chapters, reframing it through my lens, so you can learn how to apply these same principles in your own life. We'll keep the facts straight, the stories intact, but I'll weave in some of my own battles and breakthroughs where they fit, because let's face it, life's too short not to learn from the trenches. Principle number 1, desire. Be clear about what you want. A long time ago, there was a young man named Edwin Barnes. There was nothing special about him. No money, no rich family, no connections. But he had one thing, a burning desire. He set his mind to work with Thomas Edison, not for him as an employee, but with him as a partner. Now, here's the problem. Barnes didn't know Edison. Imagine, you want to work with someone like me, Elon Musk, but you don't know anyone who knows me directly. He also didn't have the money to buy a train ticket to see him. Most people would have given up right there, but not Barnes. He jumped on a cargo train, free ride, and finally met Edison at his office. Edison later said Barnes looked like a messy guy that day, but he also saw something in Barnes's eyes. Determination, as if you could tell, this one's serious. So, he gave him a shot. Just not as a partner, but a small, low-paying job, doing unimportant work that Edison didn't care much about. But that didn't matter to him. Barnes just wanted to stay close to Edison, so when the right moment came, he'd be ready. Months and years went by. Barnes's desire to work with Edison was big, but still, nothing happened. Only after 5 years, Barnes finally saw his chance. Edison put out a new invention. It was a voice recorder called the Edison dictating machine. The salesman thought it couldn't be sold. They were not interested in it, so Barnes convinced Edison to let him sell it, and sell it he did. He sold so well that Edison gave him the contract to sell it nationwide, and that's how Barnes finally became Edison's partner and a millionaire. So what made Barnes different? He was clear, crystal clear. He didn't say, "I want a job," or "I want to make money." He said, "I want to be Edison's partner." That's what Hill calls a definite purpose. A goal that is so clear and strong that you won't stop until you achieve it. Look, I've lived this. Back in 2002, when I founded SpaceX, I didn't just say, "I want to build rockets." I said, "I want to make humanity multiplanetary," starting with Mars. No vague wishes, specific, audacious. We had failures, explosions on the pad, but that desire kept us going. So here's my question for you. What exactly do you want? I know you want to be rich, but how much do you want? Hill gives these 6 simple steps. Number 1, decide the exact amount of money you want. Not more money, but a real number. Number 2, decide what you'll give in return. What service or product will you offer? If you don't know, leave this for now. Number 3, set a deadline. When do you want to hit this goal? Number 4, make a plan. Once over 4, over 7. Even if it's rough, start now. Number 5, write it all down. Number 6, read it out loud, every morning and night. Picture it like it's already yours. Here's an example. By January 2026, I'll have $50,000 saved. I'll earn it by building my business to $10,000 a month. In return, I'll serve my clients the best I can through my digital marketing agency. For me, it was like writing down, by 2020, land a Falcon 9 booster back on Earth intact. We missed deadlines, but the clarity drove us. Principle number 2, faith. Believe you can get it. A long time ago, Hill had a newborn son, born without ears. The doctor said he'd never hear or speak, but Hill refused to accept that. In his mind, his son would hear and speak, so he reminded himself every day that his son should not be a deaf mute. But his desire alone was not enough. Hill knew he had to plant the same belief into his boy's mind. But how? His son couldn't hear. However, one day Hill discovered something. His son could hear him when he spoke with his lips touching the area where his ear should be. The boy even tried to speak. Hill was very happy with that progress. Knowing his son could now hear him, Hill began telling him bedtime stories. He created those stories to spark in him the desire to listen and speak like a normal person. There was one story he told again and again, each time with fresh and dramatic detail. It was designed to plant one idea in his son's mind, that his condition wasn't a problem. It was an asset. Now, here's a challenge. From all his research, Hill knew that every problem had a hidden opportunity. Yet, he still had no idea how his son's deafness could be an asset. But he kept telling the story anyway. Look, he'll never send his son to a special school. He was determined that his son would live a normal life. He also didn't let him learn sign language. In class, he could hear his teachers, only when they shouted at close range. Fast forward, he turned 18, and here's what happened. In his last week of college, someone gave him a new hearing device to try. He placed it on his head, hooked the battery, and for the first time in his life, he could hear clearly. He rushed to the telephone, called his mother, and heard her voice perfectly for the first time. He could hear his professors in class, without them shouting. He could hear the radio. And here's the best part. Remember Hill's message in those bedtime stories where his disability could be an asset. And that's exactly what happened next. He wrote a letter to the hearing aid manufacturer describing his experiences. They then invited him to the factory. While there, he realized he could help millions of deaf people. After that, he spent a month researching and created a 2-year marketing plan. He presented it to the company, and they hired him immediately. And it was through his work he brought hope and hearing to thousands of deaf people. And that's how his disability became his asset. But the story doesn't stop there. Now, here's the most incredible part of all. After all of these events, a doctor examined him again. X-rays showed there was no physical opening from where his ears should be to his brain. Medically, he shouldn't have been able to hear at all. From this, Hill realized that nothing is impossible when desire is backed by faith. This hits home for me. When Tesla was on the brink in 2008, banks laughing at us, production hell with the Roadster, I had to believe we'd electrify the world. Doctor's error. Experts said EVs were impossible at scale. But faith? It's what kept me wiring my own money in, sleeping on factory floors. So, here comes the question. How can you plant that kind of faith in your own mind that you can get the money you want? Hill says your mind believes whatever you tell it over and over, even if it's a lie. So, repeat your affirmation from Principle 1 every morning and night with the feeling you've already achieved it. And if you're wondering how to feel like you've already achieved it when it seems impossible, that's what we'll cover in the next principle. Principle number 3, autosuggestion. In the last lesson, we talked about Napoleon Hill's son, how he eventually learned to hear. Let me explain to you how that impossible thing became possible. Hill was using something he later called autosuggestion. Now, that's just a fancy way of saying, you tell your mind what to believe, until it believes it. With his son, Hill did it through bedtime stories. He'd paint pictures of a life where the boy could hear and speak like anyone else. He spoke as if it were already true. He repeated it every night, always with feeling. Here's why it works. Your subconscious mind doesn't argue with you. It doesn't need proof. It just listens. If you keep feeding it the same message with feeling, it eventually accepts it as truth. Think of your subconscious like a garden. What you plant grows. But if you don't plant anything, weeds will grow. Those weeds are the negative thoughts. In Hill's case, if he hadn't planted those positive ideas, his son would have grown up believing he could never hear. So, here's what you can do. Don't just read your affirmation. You need to feel it. See yourself already having that money and delivering your service or selling your product. For example, when I set the goal of earning $10,000 a month, I bought a fake $10,000 stack and kept it on my desk. That way, I could literally see and feel the money every day. Don't worry about having the perfect plan up front. Your job isn't to figure out how you'll get there. It's to get crystal clear on what you want and fully feel the end result, the money in your hands, the goal already achieved. The how will unfold naturally. Your subconscious will supply the plan, often as sudden flashes of inspiration. When those ideas appear, respect them and act on them immediately. I've used this without knowing it. During SpaceX's early days, I'd visualize rockets landing vertically insane back then. I'd repeat it in my head. We will reuse rockets. No proof, just repetition with emotion. Boom, Falcon 9 lands in 2015. Your mind's a powerful engine. Fuel it right. Principle number 4, specialized knowledge. Learn what matters. You probably know Henry Ford, the founder of Ford Car Company. You might think a car founder must be a smart guy, like me. Elon Musk, the founder of Tesla, who who also understands rocket technology. But Ford didn't even finish school, and he still managed to build one of the most successful companies in America. During World War I, a newspaper called him uneducated. Ford sued them, and the case went to court. In the trial, the newspaper's lawyers tried to prove that Henry Ford was really stupid. So, they asked questions like, who was Benedict Arnold? How many soldiers did the British send over to America to put down the rebellion of 1776? Ford didn't know the answers and got tired of those questions. Finally, he said, if I really wanted to answer the foolish questions, let me remind you that I have a row of electric push buttons on my desk. By pressing the right one, I can pick one of my assistants to answer any question about my business. The only thing where I put all my efforts into. Why should I clutter up my mind with general knowledge when I have people around me who can supply any knowledge I need? And that statement shut them up. Ford wasn't stupid, he was focused. He was smart about what not to learn. His focus was only on the specialized knowledge that mattered for his car business, and he hired people who knew more than he did to run the business. The key takeaway here is this: general knowledge won't make you rich. Wealth comes from finding the specific knowledge that matters, and then acting on it. Don't try to know everything. Get clear on the exact knowledge that moves you closer to your goal, and go deep. Exactly like how I dove into battery chemistry for Tesla or orbital mechanics for SpaceX. I didn't waste time on trivia. I hired experts for the rest. Surround yourself with brains better than yours in their niche. Principle number 5, imagination. Picture your success. Think about it for a second. Everything around you started as an idea in someone's mind. The phone in your pocket, the chair you're sitting on, even the house you live in. It all began with imagination. Imagination isn't just daydreaming. It's the ability to see something in your mind before it exists in reality. That's what entrepreneurs, inventors, and creators do. They see the result first, and then figure out how to make it real. So, how does this apply to you? If your goal is to build a business, don't just focus on the grind of getting there. Close your eyes and actually imagine it. Your product in people's hands. Customers say thanks to you. Money flowing into your account. Picture it so clearly. It feels real. Here's why this matters. Your brain starts working differently when you imagine success. You begin noticing opportunities, making connections, and taking actions that line up with that vision. Imagination is like a muscle. The more vividly you picture your success, the faster your mind will figure out how to make it happen. This is core to my world. Before Tesla existed, I imagined highways full of electric cars, no exhaust. For Neuralink, I pictured brains linked to machines, solving paralysis. It wasn't fantasy, it was the seed. When PayPal sold, I imagined reusing that cash for Mars. Visualize boldly, reality catches up. Principle number 6, organized planning. Make a plan and take action. There was once a young preacher and an educator named Dr. Frank Gonzalez. He saw serious flaws in the education system. So he had one mission: to build a college where young people could learn practical skills and develop their minds. And to build that college, he needed $1 million. And here's the problem. He had no money, no land, no rich friends, just a big idea. But he had the desire. He had the faith he could build it. And he'd already imagined his college. But for 2 years, nothing happened. Then one day he said, the time had come for action. I need to get that 1 million in a week. The moment he set that deadline, something lit up inside him. He finally came out with a plan, instead of just wishing. So here's what he did. He called the newspapers and announced that he would give a lecture with the title, "What Would I Do If I Had $1 Million?" He then prepared that sermon immediately. When he finished writing, he went to bed, imagining himself already owning that million. The next morning, he woke up early and prayed with feeling he would get the money. When he preached, he spoke with all his heart and soul, describing the college with such vivid detail that you could almost see it. Then, when he finished, a man approached him and said, I like what you just described. I believe you can do everything you said you would. Come to my office tomorrow. I will give you the $1 million. And with that money, Dr. Gonzalez finally built the college. Look, Hill says desire is your spark. But without a plan, nothing happens. So, here's what to do. Start making a plan for your goal. Break it down, set deadlines, and get moving. Now, what if the plan fails? That's not the end. That's just a temporary defeat, not a permanent failure. Hill says, it's a signal to adjust the plan and keep going. Remember this, rich people plan, poor people just hope. So, make your plan, take action, and if it doesn't work, simple, make a new plan. My life? Plans evolve. Original SpaceX plan, buy Russian rockets. Failed. New plan, build our own. Tesla's plan shifted from sports cars to mass-market EVs. Failures are pivots, not stops. Set deadlines like I did for Starship, hops miss 'em. Adjust, launch again. Principle number 7, decision. Make decisions and stick to them. Let's go back to the Henry Ford story. Back in 1908, he launched the Model T. It was boxy, basic, and cheap. And for more than 10 years, it dominated the market. By the early 920 seconds, over half of all cars on the road were Fords. Then the competition started catching up. Chevrolet and others offered more stylish cars. And after that, Ford's customers wanted change. Even Ford's top advisors and his own son told him it was time for a new model. However, Ford still stuck with his decision. For years, he refused to change a thing. He believed in his decision and didn't let outside opinions sway him. Only after several years, when sales dropped, did he finally come out with a different model. Look, you might think Ford was too rigid, refusing to change until competitors eventually beat him in sales. But Hill's point is this: it was his character, his ability to stick to decisions that made him a fortune. For that Model T, over 15 million had been sold. It became the best-selling car of its time, and it made Ford a legend. So, the lesson is this: rich people make decisions quickly, and they stick with them. Poor people, they take forever to decide, and then they change their minds at the first sign of pressure. Hill says, if you're easily influenced by others, after reaching your decision, you will not succeed in turning your desire into money. Let's say you decide to build a mobile app where others have to pay every month to use it. Then you see someone making hundreds of thousands selling online courses, and suddenly you're tempted to switch. Don't just get influenced by that. Make your decision, stick to it, and give it the time it needs to pay off. I've made snap decisions that stuck. Decided to go all in on reusable rockets, critics called it suicide. Stuck through 3 failures, or betting Tesla on full self-driving, naysayers everywhere. Decisiveness builds empires. Waffling destroys them. We've covered the first 7 principles of Think and Grow Rich, from the burning desire that drove Edwin Barnes to partner with Edison, to the unshakable faith that let Hill's son overcome impossible odds. Autosuggestion, planting seeds in the subconscious. Specialized knowledge like Henry Ford's focused expertise. Imagination to visualize success. Organized planning with decisive action like Dr. Gonzalez's $1 million sermon. And the firm decisions that built Ford's empire. These lay the groundwork for turning thoughts into wealth, straight from the timeless stories Hill uncovered. But that's just the launch pad. In part 2, we'll tackle the true tests: persistence, when you're inches from gold, masterminds that amplify your power, channeling inner energies, and unlocking the mind's deeper mysteries to make the impossible real. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll dig into the grit that turns failures into fortunes, like those early SpaceX explosions that nearly ended it all but led to reusable rockets. Watch part 2 for that raw energy transmutation and the subconscious hacks that feel like Neuralink for your brain. It's the breakthrough you've been waiting for.